Hey guys, how's it going? Moose here. This video is going to be the state of Beast Mastery Hunter. It's just an overview, second pass at it. I did a video previous to this about a couple months ago. This is just an updated version of that video. In this video, I'm just going to go over abilities, talents. I'll give you my opinions on the state of BM Hunter and how's it looking, and so yeah. First thing, huge announcement, BM Hunters, new stable slots. We have another tab of 10 slots, so go tame more pets. So yeah, I know a lot of hunters will really enjoy that. Spells and abilities. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so baseline spells, nothing's really much changed since last time. We have Cobra Shot. Barb Shot is basically Dire Frenzy that was in Legion. It stacks up to 3 times. You no longer have the initial 3 hits that Dire Frenzy had, but you have a bleed that you put on, whatever target you fired at. The bleed actually does awful damage, so don't really be concerned with the bleed so much. That's sort of just a passive thing. But the big thing here is you still want to maintain 3 stacks of Barb Shot, rather, just like Dire Frenzy in Legion. Beast of Wrath, this has changed slightly. So Beast of Wrath, the ability itself is the exact same as Legion, exact same as it has been. Previously, since, as you know, a lot of people know, they added a lot of GCD changes in BFA. Beast of Wrath was on the GCD, and in the previous video, it was not scaled with haste. It now scales with haste and scales with Aspect of the Wild, so it doesn't feel as clunky when you're using it. But the effect itself, the damage increase, is the exact same as it has been for forever. Kill Command, another basic ability, it's the exact same. Nothing's really changed about that. Multi-shot. Aspect of the Wild, because the GCD change, they increased this to 20 seconds from 5 seconds, or from 15 seconds rather. So that's just to account for the GCD change. It's really nice. The 20 seconds in itself, like Aspect of the Wild, is not a huge, a super strong cooldown for us, but it is nice. And there actually is an Azurite trait, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, that that actually gives you mastery while you have Aspect of the Wild, which makes the cooldown itself a little better. So aside from that, let's see, what else do we have? Those are the base abilities. So those are the base offensive abilities. So you're gonna, Cobra Shot, Barb Shot, Beast of Wrath, Kill Command, Multi-Shot, and Aspect of the Wild is your core. I'll talk about talents later on, but there are some talents that play into this. So defensives, Hunters got a lot tankier. One of the problems we had in Legion is that the Hunters were super squish, especially BM. Marksman at least had the 10% feign death, or I'm sorry, 10% disengage reduction. But BM really didn't have anything outside of Exhilaration, Aspect of the Turtle, and while Aspect of the Turtle is an amazing immunity, outside of, every 3 minutes when we have Aspect of the Turtle, we are like one of the most squishiest class. If you've ever done Mythic Agrimar or anything like that, you definitely know how squishy Hunters were. So since that, there's been actually a change to pets. Pets now have 3 specializations. You can choose, oops, sorry, let me go here. Okay, so you still have Ferocity, Tenacity, and Cunning, but now each pet will only be Tenacity, like each pet family has a set specialization. So for example, I have a Spirit Beast out right now. All Spirit Beasts, no matter what, will always be Tenacity, and you cannot change that. So right here, if I get the Scorpion out, this will always be Ferocity, and you cannot change. There's no activate specialization like there was. So this will always be Ferocity. Ferocity pets have unique abilities called Predator's Thirst and Primal Rage. Primal Rage is just Bloodlust. Predator's Thirst gives you and your pet 10% leech. It says 15 right now because I have this ability, or I have a talent called Aspect of the Beast, which boosts everything by 50%. So here, 10% leech. Your pet should gain 10% leech, and you gain 10% leech. This isn't as good as you think. It's a lot better for marksman and survival. For BMs, unfortunately, the leech that your abilities use is based on who casts that ability. So for BM hunters, for example, our kill command, right? We give the ability, or we command our pet to kill command. However, the pet is actually the one kill commanding and dealing the damage. So the pet is the one that gains the leech from that. So for us as BM hunters, the only leech we get is from our Cobra shot, auto attack, if we take the Chimera shot ability, and barb shot damage, which is pitiful, as I said earlier. So we actually don't get that much leech from this. And so really, the only time you ever want to use a ferocity pet is if you really need to bloodlust and your group doesn't have a lust, or you're in charge of that. Tenacity pets. Hold on, let me get this tenacity guy back out. All right, tenacity pets. They give you a passive bonus of 5% more HP. So this is really good for defensive purposes, obviously. So I am right now, I'm about 355 eye level, and I have about 120,000 HP. So 5% of that is what, 6,000 HP, which is, it's not a whole lot, but it's nothing to scoff at. It will definitely save you a couple times. The other ability you get is called Survival of the Fittest. So reduces all damage you and your pet take by 20% for 6 seconds. It's a 3-minute cooldown. It's just another thing, another defensive. It's really nice to have on top of that HP, and that's really nice. Cunning. This is more of a PvP thing. Pathfinding. Both you and your pet gain increased movement speed. And Master's Call removes all snares. So obviously this is definitely directed more towards PvP. There might be niche circumstances in PvE where you might want this, like maybe a super high movement fight. You might want that. Who knows? But as it's basically a PvP talent. So going into this, I actually have in the link below, if you check it out, there's a pet guide that me and Bendak wrote from Wowhead. And it goes into more detail about this, but there are pet families that have special abilities. My Spirit Beast, for example, in addition to Survival of Fittest and Endurance Training. Oh, what the heck happened? Oh, there we go. It also has Spirit Shock. Spirit Shock is an Enrage and a Purge and a Trank. And so a lot of pets families have different abilities like this. So like bats are a ferocity pet that have the Purge. Spirit beasts are a tenacity pet that have the Purge, and there's a couple other pet families that have special things like this. Spirit Beast also has an ability called Spirit Mend, which in the past Spirit Mend was not that big of a heal, and whether this is intended or not, Spirit Mend is actually a huge heal for Beast Mastery hunters, and since Spirit Beasts are exotic, these are, Spirit Mend is basically unique to Beast Mastery hunters. So the tooltip reads, it heals for 11,000 plus an additional 7,000 over 10 seconds. Even if the tooltip was correct, it would still be a pretty decent heal, but the heal actually is way larger than that. So I'll use the heal and then mouse over the tooltip. So the hot heals for 7,900 every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. So that's 8,000 every 2 seconds. So that's almost 10% of your HP every tick. So basically, Spirit Mend actually heals, whether it's intended or not, heals for about 50% of your total HP, which is very strong. And it's actually better than Exhilaration. Exhilaration is supposed to heal for 30%. In this latest build, it's actually healing for 100% of your HP. Again, I don't know whether that's intended. I don't think it's intended. Between Spirit Mend and Exhilaration, way too much healing for Beastmaster hunters. We're actually very, very tanky at the moment. Again, I don't know if the heals are intended to heal that much, but that's how it is. So that's all for defensives. So let's go into utility. Hunter utility is basically the same as it has been. We have freezing trap, we have tar trap. For BM hunters, intimidation is now baseline. So you command, so it's exactly how the talent was in Legion, but now it's a baseline talent. We still have feign death, we still have disengage, we still have flare. What else do we have? Interrupt. And that's it. So I'll go into, so those are the basic abilities for BM Hunter. Not much has changed ability-wise between now and Legion. A couple things have changed here and there, but it's basically the same rotation as the prior Dire Frenzy build, more or less. Alright, so let me go into the talents. Alright, so the first row, Killer Instincts, Animal Companion, and Dire Beast. Killer Instincts is basically just an execute. Our kill command does bonus damage below 35% HP. This is only good single target, obviously. Kill command doesn't work in AoE. Animal Companion is basically Hades 2.0. We summon a pet, and it replicates its auto attack damage and kill command damage. And then Dire Beast, you summon exactly how the Dire Beast was in Legion. You summon another pet. It does if you have Stomp, it does a Stomp when it comes out. It'll attack your target, but new, they added this recently. While the pet is out, it also increases all haste by 10%. Is actually very good, and this is the only talent in this row that has AoE application, right? Because haste is good single target and AoE. So how they stand currently, Dire Beast and Killer Instinct are about the same single target. Animal Companion is way better than both of them on pure single target. Again, Dire Beast is the only AoE, so for dungeons, Dire Beast is a little better than both the other two talents. Something to note, Animal Companion is currently bugged, so they recently fixed the damage, so it correctly does auto attack damage and kill command damage. However, the pet itself does not benefit from avoidance. So your main pet, for example, you know, whether there's mechanics happening in the raid or dungeon or whatever, your main pet can stand in whatever is happening, and it takes 95% reduced damage, I want to say, and so it never dies really unless there's like something big hitting it. Your Animal Companion pet does not benefit from that avoidance, and so in any type of encounter, so on a dummy here, it won't do anything because there's no damage going on, but in a raid scenario, dungeon scenario, or whatever, where there's damage going out, your pet dies within 5 seconds. And so right now it's not really viable. I would recommend taking Dire Beast in every situation currently until that's fixed. The second row, Scent of Blood, it's just a passive focus buff. One with the pack is basically the same as it was in Legion. Wild Call, which is a chance for our auto attacks to reset Barb Shot cooldown, right? Wild Call has a 20% increased chance. So this scales really well with crit. And I mean, it's just sort of a passive thing. It doesn't really... It gives us a higher Bestial Wrath uptime because we are getting more Barb Shot procs, which makes our Bestial Wrath have reduced cooldown. And then Chimera Shot is just another damaging ability. It's not passive like the other two, but this is a twin-headed shot that deals damage to 1 or 2 targets. And it also generates 10 focus per target hit. Currently, Chimera Shot is way ahead of the other two in single target and AoE. The focus helps in AoE a ton, and the damage is just insane and it generates focus. One with a pack you would think is actually very good. Currently, it's slightly bugged. It does so whenever you reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. I'm sorry. One with the pack is fine, but Chimera Shot is just far ahead of it. The next row, Trailblazer, is obviously more of like a like transmog run type talent. Just sort of passive movement speed. Natural Mending is the only talent in this row that's actually good for raids. You know, every 30 focus you spend, you get cooldown and acceleration. So this is basically what you want to take most of the time. Camouflage is more of a PvP talent. Unit pet, blend in, and gain stealth. The next row, so Venomous Bite is passive. Cobra Shot reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 1 second. This is actually disgustingly bad. If you take this talent, you basically gain another 6 seconds off of Bestial Wrath in between each Bestial Wrath, and that's awful. For a talent, you're basically getting one barb shot proc, and let's be real, with RNG and crit and stuff like that, you won't even notice this talent. It's actually really bad. Thrill of the Hunt, this is what I was talking about earlier with one of the pack. Thrill of the Hunt is bugged slightly. So Barb Shot increases your crit strike chance by 3% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. In theory, it's very good, but currently the crit that you gain, it works, but only you gaining it as a hunter. Your pet does not gain this crit, and so obviously the pet as a Beastmaster Hunter does the majority of our damage, and so it sort of sucks that the pet doesn't gain it. I think if it were to work properly, this would compete very well with a Murder of Crows, but currently it does not. A Murder of Crows, exact same as it has been, just a single target dot. It resets if it kills, if the target dies while Murder of Crows is on there. This is currently the highest damaging ability. A Murder of Crows also counts with our Mastery, and so our Mastery buffs the damage of Murder of Crows, since it's considered a pet. So a Murder of Crows for Beast Mastery does much more damage than it would for a Marksman or Survival Hunter. The next row, Born to Be Wild, reduces the cooldowns of your aspects. Again, this is sort of a niche talent. You don't really need Aspect of the Turtle or Cheetah reduction in raids or dungeons per se. On a fight like Fallen Avatar, where you have to soak and use Aspect of the Turtle as often as possible, you might want to take this, but generally you won't be taking this. Post haste, exactly the same as it has been. You disengage now removes all snares and parrying effects, increases your speed by 50% after you use it. This is probably going to be your default talent for most scenarios. Binding Shot has changed. It no longer stuns when the targets move out of your range of the 5 yards. It now only snares them. This is actually not that good anymore because it only snares melee mobs. Caster mobs can still cast and do everything they were doing previously, just they're rooted in place. And so it might be decent in dungeons, maybe on necrotic weeks or something like that, but overall Binding Shot's not that good anymore. So post hastes are going to be your default for the most part. In the next row you have Stomp, Barrage, and Stampede. Stomp is exactly the same as it has been. Every time you barb shot, your pet stomps the ground, dealing physical damage to everyone. Stomp is currently the best in single target and AoE, just because of the way it works. Barrage is 60 focus and deals damage in a cone in front of you. Barrage is not that good for BM just because of the immense focus cost. It's crazy, and it doesn't do that much damage. It just, compared to Stomp, it just does not do that much damage. You run the risk of pulling stuff, and Stomp is just a lot safer, and it actually does a little more damage. Stampede actually just sucks. It's exactly the same as it was in Legion. It does not do that much damage compared to its long cooldown, and I really wish they would either reduce the cooldown, increase the damage, or something, but it's not worth taking ever. So Stomp's pretty much the default right now. The last row, we have Aspect of the Beast, Killer Cobra, and Spitting Cobra. Aspect of the Beast is right now the best offensively and defensively. So it increases the damage of your pet's abilities by 30%, which is awesome. It's passive. And it also increases the effectiveness of your pet's passive ability. So Predator's Thirst, Endurance Training, and Pathfinding. So Predator's Thirst, I sort of hinted at earlier, it's baseline 10%, but with Aspect of the Beast, it's now 15%. Endurance Training is baseline 5%, with Aspect of the Beast, it's now 7.5% HP. And Pathfinding is 8%, but now it's 12% with Pathfinding. And so that's a really nice passive bonus. This is currently the best ability in this row in every situation. Again, obviously this is beta and stuff can change easily, but this is just how it is right now. Killer Cobra and Legion, this was our #1 talent in this row at all times, but because of the way oh, I forgot to mention earlier with the abilities, I think I mentioned in my previous video actually, Cobra Shot now also reduces the cooldown of kill command by 1 second, and so because of that change, Killer Cobra is not really as useful. It's still good, you still actually get more kill commands by using this, but basically when you take this talent, you ignore that new feature of Cobra Shot, right? Because this resets the cooldown of kill command, and so the reduction of kill command doesn't really matter. So because of that change, Killer Cobra lost a lot of value. And so it's really not that good right now, and it's only a single target talent, whereas Aspect of the Beast is a lot better. Spitting Cobra actually competes very well in pure single target with Aspect of the Beast, but one of the big things about this is that it's slightly bugged per se. So Spitting Cobra, so Survival also has Spitting Cobra. For Survival, it's basically the exact same. The issue that BM has with Spitting Cobra is that because it's a survival ability, the range of Spitting Cobra is only 25 yards. And so for BM, while we can use it, but if you use the Cobra at more than 25 yards, it literally just sits there and doesn't do anything. And so you have to be within 25 yards to actually use Spitting Cobra and for it to deal damage. And as the range, most of the time we're not in 25 yards, we're at range at like 30 or 40 yards, and so this is actually a very tedious talent. And since Aspect of the Beast does the exact same damage single target, it's why would we even use this, basically? There are some interactions that I'll talk about later with some Azurite traits that goes good with Spitting Cobra that might make it pull ahead. But as of now, we're using Aspect of the Beast. So the talents I have right now are actually the default Mythic Plus talents. If anyone's wondering, actually they're pretty much the default everything talents. As soon as Animal Companion is fixed, that will be taking single target over Dire Beast. Again, all of this can change. It's beta. Number tuning will happen. I'm sure this will not look exactly the same in a month or two when live hits, but this is how it is currently on beta. So my opinions on BM. BM's in a pretty good state right now compared to Legion. Personally, in Legion, BM was very slow. It's very similar to how it is now, but in Legion there was a lot more waiting. We didn't really have very many abilities. We sort of just kill command when it was off cooldown. During Beast of Wrath, kill command Cobra, kill command Cobra. It was very simple. With Dire Frenzy, we did maintain 3 stacks, obviously, but it was a very simple rotation. Not much really happened. In Legion, in BFA, a little has changed. One, currently we're using Dire Beast and Chimera Shot, which are 2 more abilities in our rotation. I know, hard rotation, five abilities now. But because we have Dire Beast, which increases haste, and we have Chimera Shot, which gives you focus, the rotation does not feel as slow. So you have a lot more focus. You hardly ever have downtime. You have 2 more abilities you need to press and squeeze into your rotation. On top of that, Cobra Shot also reduces kill command's cooldown, right? So you're kill commanding more often, and there's actually so all this is on top of maintaining 3 stacks, right? So you have all these abilities on top of maintaining 3 stacks. In AoE, you also have to maintain 3 stacks with Beast Cleave. And you have more focus, so you have more uptime on Beast Cleave. You can multi-shot more. You don't have to, AFK and wait for focus as much. And so in my opinion, it's a lot more fun. There's way less downtime, and it's way better. Defensively, obviously, was a huge area where we lacked in Legion, and we have a ton more defenses right now. Again, as I said earlier, I don't know if that much healing is intended, but we have a lot of defenses and healing currently, and we're very tanky as BM Hunters. We have a ton of utility. We have Lust. We have more HP. We have more movement speed if we want it. We have Freezing Trap, Tar Trap. We have intimidation baseline, we have feign death, disengage. Like, we have a ton of utility and defenses. So BM is in a very good spot right now. As far as damage goes, again, this is all relative, and this will all change probably in a month. Right now, as of the end of June, we are towards the middle top of the damage meters, and for the hunter specs, BM is actually the highest damaging spec currently. Again, could change. Huge disclaimer, please don't come to me in a month and say, oh, you said BM was the best. Okay, huge disclaimer. But yeah, so my opinion on Beast Mastery is it's in a very good spot right now. Probably one of the best hunter specs, probably the best hunter spec currently. It's not as bad to play, and hopefully people play it. More pet slots, stable slots, so contain more cool pets. So yeah, that is the Beast Mastery overview right now. Thanks for watching, guys. Bendak over at Wowhead, I work with him pretty closely. He will be releasing a Beast Mastery guide. So I am in charge of the Marksman guide now for Wowhead, and he's doing the Beast Mastery guide. We will be releasing guides, pre-patch guides, whenever pre-patch hits, which is probably about 2 weeks. We'll have a pre-patch guide and a sort of a baseline BFA guide. Obviously, we'll keep updating the guides weekly as there's changes, and the official guide will be released on launch August 14th. So check back on Wowhead often. As I said earlier, we also have a pet guide down below. So check that out if you want to check out all the changes to pets. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter, linked below. Sub or follow on Twitch if you want to keep updated. As always, I'm always willing to help. You can find me in Discord at True Shot Lodge, or you can join my personal Discord with the link below. So yeah, come hang out, come say hi, ask Hunter questions, whatever. I'm here for you. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.